Hola y bienvenidos al Museo de Aviones. Welcome to the Air Museum. My name is Gene Ramirez. I'm a volunteer here at the Air Museum and former president of the Victory Squadron. I also like to say that I'm a veteran of the United States Army and served along with a lot of my fellow Hispanics. Today we have a very exciting program that honors the Mexican-American Air Force as well as the Mexican-American veterans.
Okay, the Mariachi at Tinapa will play the Mexican National Anthem.
I hope I remember that. I used to sing them since I was a little kid in school. In Tucson, Arizona, that's where I'm from. But I'm trying to still remember. But just in case, feel free to join me, okay? Let's go. The American National Anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose broad front had bright stars through the perilous sun, for the bands we heard were so gallantly speed, where the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave, and the hope of the brave?
Before we get our people sat down, or while they're getting sat down, when I was a child here in Los Angeles during World War II, there was one song that really got to me, and it was the relationship with Mexico and the United States. Lalo, do you remember that song?
Certainly do. They do too.
Oh, do they? Yeah, let's do it.
Viva México. You'll hear it when we cut to it. Okay? Boys, Viva México. Soy puro mexicano, nacido en esta tierra, en esta hermosa tierra, que es mi linda nación. Mi México querido, qué linda es mi bandera, alguna la masilla le parto el corazón. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! ¡Viva! Tierra bendita de Dios. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva! ¡Viva América! ¡Viva! Mi sangre por ti daré yo.
Soy puro mexicano y nunca me he retado. Que México es valiente y nunca está rajado. Viva la democracia y también la libertad. Viva México, viva América, viva consuelo bendito de Dios. Viva México, viva América, mi sangre por ti daré yo. Soy puro mexicano y tienen que informarse. Es valiente, la historia les dirá. Que México es valiente y nunca se ha rajado. Y como buen soldado yo se la quiero dar. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! ¡Viva! Consuelo bendito de Dios. ¡Viva México! ¡Viva América! ¡Viva! Mi sangre por ti daré yo.
Come on, please. Mr. and Mrs. Delgado, Joaquin Delgado, right here, the owners of Las Castañas Nuevas, plug. They're right here. And the mama, Maria Delgado, would you please stand up and take a bow? All three of you. All three? Well, who these boys perform at the restaurant? And what? Rich Rush. This wonderful family. Thank you, Lucky. That's so thank you. I'm happy you came to see us. Fellas, what did you do one before you were the girls are waiting? Could you do one where you like kind of move around with some steps? Come on. I want you to see them in action. If you haven't seen them, these guys are too much. What up?
ritmo original. Onde grite, deve venir rimado. Es el baile original. Una trampa, vamos a bailar.
Okay, that was great. I would like these speakers to come up here, please. The speakers are Wenzel Leo Martinez Vasquez. Is he here? Okay. He is from the 201st Fighter Squadron, Mexico. Would you rather sit there? No. A United States Army medic. Okay, now I have a quick performance with the Mexican dancers.
Who's doing it?
Thank you very much.
That's right. Thank you very much. It's beautiful. Okay, we're going to start this now. Renee Hoy, would you come up here, please? Renee is the expert on the Mexican Air Force, and what he's going to do, he will ask some questions from him of what he did, etc. And after that, I will interview the two others. Okay. Of course, you know that we're gonna we have to when they give me the signal, I'll let you know that that we'll go outside and watch the plane turn up. Okay. We don't know exactly what time. Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another reunion of the Squadron 201 here at the Palm Springs Air Museum. As many of you guys know, we don't hear a lot about the Mexican Air Force in World War II, and that's the reason why we're here. We're trying to make the people aware that even there was a small group of pilots that was present in the Philippines, we were there, and they did a good job. And thankfully, we still have a lot of them that are still alive. Now, a lot of people ask us, how come we don't bring the pilots, and they want to see the pilots of the squadron. The reason is because all the pilots have taken most of the credit. And if you're a pilot, you will understand that you cannot fly without your mechanic, without your gunner, without your electrician. For that reason, we have invited today Major Wenceslao Vasquez, a mechanic with the Squadron 201, and he's here today, and we'll ask him a few questions. If you don't mind standing up, Mayor. He was in the Philippines during the short, brief stay of the Mexican Air Force in the Philippines. And what I'm going to ask him right now is just basically where he started his training and a few other questions. ¿Se empieza a decir un poquito su experiencia de entrenamiento que estuvo en su entrenamiento?
Bueno, nosotros llegamos al entrenamiento en 1944, a raíz de que México declaró prácticamente estado de guerra en contra de las potencias del eje. Se formó un grupo que se llamó Grupo de Perfeccionamiento, que fue el Escuadrón 201. Éramos 300 gentes, la mayoría de 20, 24 años, no más. Y después de 9 meses de entrenamiento en diferentes bases de Estados Unidos, salimos al frente de Campo Stoneman, salimos a San Pedro, California, el 26 de marzo de 44. Nos embarcamos en el Far East, un barco mercante, porque no era de pasajeros, ¿no? Era un barco mercante. Tardamos 34 días de llegar a Luzón, Filipinas, que era nuestro destino, las bases, ¿no? Pero nosotros habíamos estado entrenando en Pocatello, Idaho, en otros climas sumamente fríos, porque nuestro destino no era el Pacífico, era salir a Europa, a Alemania. Ya México directamente había declarado la guerra. Pero a raíz de que llegó el armisticio de Alemania, fue como nos destinaron al Teatro de Guerra del Pacífico, ametrallamiento, o sea, todo lo que exigía el Teatro de Guerra.
A group of 300 young Mexican armed force personnel left Mexico City in 1944 after Mexico declared war against the Axis power. As many of you know, Mexican oil ships were being sunk by German torpedo boats. German U-boats. And that's the reason that Mexico decided to declare war on the Axis power. And it wasn't until 1944 that the decision was made to send a group of young pilots and gunners and mechanics to the United States for training to go see action in the European theater. After the war ended in the European theater, the Mexican Air Force, or the Mexican Squadron 201st, was retraining again in the United States to fight in the Pacific. They left San Francisco in April of 1945, and it took them about 34 days to reach the Philippines. Once in the Philippines, they actually saw combat against Japanese stronghold positions in the northern part of Luzon, and they also did long-range bomber missions against Formosa, now Taiwan. As he mentioned, it was a group of 300 people that were stationed in the Philippines, and if it wasn't for the atomic bomb, he says that most of them would have come back because the war would have kept them going. Now, what I would ask him is, if he has any personal experience during the Philippines, when he was there. ¿Alguna experiencia, tiene alguna comentario de las Filipinas cuando usted estuvo ahí durante el combate? ¿Cómo? ¿Alguna experiencia que usted tuvo en las Filipinas durante la guerra?
Pues, experiencia, sino que eran, como decimos nosotros, viajes del oficio, ¿no? Defenderse, éramos atacados, pero directamente sí encuentros, no, pero sí ataques de bombardeo y de ametrallamiento, sí, es que más, y desde luego que tenía que haber sus bajas, ¿no? De nuestros pilotos se quedaron allá 6, 4 que murieron directamente en acciones de guerra y 12 en accidente en los mismos de 47, ¿no? En los P-47. Pues se puede decir que la mala suerte, ¿no? El mal momento, pero sí tuvimos también nuestras bajas.
Briefly, what he just said is that while they were in the Philippines, they didn't actually see any hand-to-hand combat, but they lost some pilots. They lost 4 pilots in the Philippines. 2 were lost here in the United States, and basically, he says that it was their duty to defend their country, and they were sent to do a job, and they did the job very well. Okay? Thank you.
That's a great job of interpreting, let me tell you. I think it was word for word too, I think. Okay, now what I'd like to do here is we have 2 gentlemen here. I'd like to start on my left row here is Anthony Acevedo. I got to talk to him, and he was, I'm just going to kind of lead him into this, okay, because there's so much of his story. He was born in the United States. And then I guess when he was very young, his mother died, his father married, and he went to Durango, Mexico. So take it from there, Tony.
Well, my experience was being drafted, and I obtained my experience in the infantry, and was transferred over to the medical detachment, and trained at the college and medical school, then prepared for overseas. Then I had the opportunity to join the rest of my buddies in Europe. We landed in Marseille, France, with a transport ship big as the Queen Mary. It was a West Point. When we entered into combat, we went into an area where the Alsace and Lorraine, near the Battle of the Bulge, where it started, part of Bastogne. And to my experience was unaware that what I was carrying with me was a 60-pound pack, duffel bag and everything, and all the fellows used to tell me, says, medic, throw that away, you don't need it. Well, I kept on carrying my pack until I was called, medic, we've been hit. We died. I started running down the ravine, and you know, on the slopes, your voice echoes, and nobody can hear you. So as I started to run down, I hit some branches, I slipped, and the whole thing just came undone behind my back by machine guns. 6 Germans with bird guns hit my back. But I was not wounded then. I began to hear voices from left to right. Medic, I've been hit. So I managed to slip my head right into the helmet, and the 6 Germans were annihilated by our mortar fire and BARs. I was able to accomplish things that I didn't think I would have done in the United States. I had good experience in medical because I wanted to be a doctor. Unfortunately, I never became one. I became an engineer. But anyway, in doing our duties, I decided that, well, let's get back to headquarters, which was Phillipsburg. And a scout approached us and said, we cannot go back because the Germans had already taken the town. So we headed for a hill where our company commander was very seriously wounded, and my buddy medic had been slaughtered by the machine guns. 40 minutes. I managed to help my company commander, and he survives. He lives now. He has complications, but he's still alive, thank goodness. But on that hill, the Germans started to surround us. And as we were being surrounded, the Germans finally caught on us, and we were prisoners. At that time, the commander of the Germans forced us to remove our boots with the snow above our knees and up to our waist. Barefooted, we had to climb, get down from that hill. And we're taken by trucks to a prison camp in Spad or Stradlock 9B. Then that where my whole life started. In being in that camp, it was a barracks of almost 40,000 to 50,000 prisoners of war of all races, surrounded by Gestapo and NSS troops. At one moment, I was lying down on the concrete, freezing, no heat. Our equipment, our clothes were not equipped for winter. Our rifles were not zeroed in accordingly. So our men were at the mercy of the weather and of the enemy. At that time, we heard the doors unlocked, and in walks just like a movie to me, a soldier, officer, field marshal, Gestapo, with a monocle in his eye, a cigarette tip, and with his little baton that he carried, and he was dressed, like I said, like an actor. But he was, from top to bottom, a very long leather black coat. He ushered me out to be interrogated. And so, at that moment, all hell broke loose. I was asked to inform him what was happening behind our lines. Something that you never do to say, but just your rank, your name, serial number, and that's it. But he slapped my face and said, no. You gotta tell me what's going on. I said, I'm up in the front, I don't go behind the lines. So anyway, that was taken care of that moment. But then he started to tell me about my life, my parents. I said, like, you were born in San Bernardino, California. You lived in Pasadena. He says, your father is an engineer. You moved all your other family to Mexico, to Durango, Mexico. In the course of time, he said, I knew what had happened, but he started telling me, and I didn't want to say anything, but he says, you spied on 2 employees of your father. Our U-boats were in Baja California, Sea of Cortez. Lucky, each morning when we used to go to school, we'd get up in the morning, 5 in the morning, to go swimming and jogging. And one of my buddies was a nephew of a railroad conductor, and he knew the Morse code. He then said, Atlas. They used to call me Atlas, which I'm not an Atlas. There's a spy going on, and it was coming out of the transmitter, just off the swimming pool. It says, these 2 employees are your dad's. They're spying. Well, sure enough, the Gestapo knew about it. And that also, he slapped my face because I spied on his own man. We also, to verify the whole thing, during the time of the Battle of Montevideo in South America, a British battleship and an English battleship, they had their battles, and one sailor escaped from that boat or ship. He fled to Durango and happened to be the nephew or cousin of Schrader. Schraders were the families that owned a hardware store there in Durango. So I couldn't lie. I couldn't say anything, but just nod my head. So that put needles in my fingernails, and to torture me more, to get more information, I said, I don't know nothing. So, from there, he sent me back to my barracks, and in the course of a couple of days, 3, 4, 5 days more later, the Germans had us come out of our barracks, stand out there in the snow. We didn't have time to put a shoes on, stand up in the snow, and says, I want, or we want, all American Jews out, step forward, 2 feet front forward. A few of them were reluctant to do it. They were afraid, they were scared. Some tore their identifications from their necks, but some did not give up. I still have friends that are survivors of that dramatic moments. We were selected 352 American Jews and undesirables, and I turned out to be one of the undesirables because I spied. I was sent, or we were sent, to a camp that's part of Buchenwald, a slave camp. 352 of us to dig into the tunnels, to build space for secret material that the Germans were heading for. It's still a very long story, but I kept a record in a diary with me. I listed all the ones that were sick, cases that did not go to work at all, but still the Germans would beat us up because we were too slow in moving around. In that part of the Bergen, the Ulster, is part of a Buchenwald slave camp, just like Auschwitz, where the Jews were so mistreated and massacred. Came a day when the Russians were getting closer and closer, so the Germans decided to move us out and decided that suddenly that this would be the death march to head us towards the Bavarian mountains, Hitler's nest. But at that time, we were getting to a point where we were just falling on the roads, the sickness, and Germans up ahead were slaughtering the poor families with machine gun on the road. Came the day when how we were liberated was, we were on the top of a little farm, and the Germans started to feel the heat from the tanks coming in the distance and machine guns. The Germans wanted us to follow them, but we didn't. And we slept in almost bathed in the area where the cows, the cattle, were sleeping. So we had no way to bathe ourselves, with lice, white lice scattered all over our bodies. Disease, diphtheria, dysentery. I tried to operate on one of my fellows that needed to be operated because he had diphtheria. I wanted to use my fountain pen to use it for a tracheotomy. Well, the commanding officer wouldn't let me, and I told him, if you didn't, he said, you're going to kill him. Well, I used the bad word, kill him. But he took it that I was accusing him that he was going to slaughter him. So finally he beat me up. And that was the consequences of my being an ex-prisoner of war. So I was liberated. We were liberated by patents, tanks, and I came back to the United States. And powerful.
Well, what a story. We're going to interview Colonel Cervantes, but just want to say one thing that I don't think I'll be able to get out later, is that this gentleman and this gentleman had something to do with Lalo 50-some years ago, and we'll tell you about it later, okay? And after the plane flies, you can come back here and talk to the gentleman, and Cervantes is signing his book, and it is quite a book. Colonel, I think you have a message here, I think, to the youth, the Mexican youth, or just the youth. Would you please relate it?
Before I talk to the youth, I want to tell you two stories. One, when we're young, mejor en español, cuando somos niños, adquirimos un héroe. Y aunque durante nuestras vidas encontramos mucha gente que es admirable, nunca los oponemos sobre nuestro héroe. Mi héroe fue un marine durante la Guerra Mundial. Mientras que yo andaba peleando sobre Alemania, él andaba peleando en las islas del sur Pacífico, en las batallas más horribles, más sangrosas que han conocido los soldados de este país. Gracias a Dios que regresó. When I was a boy, I had a hero, and although I met many famous people later on, they never superimposed. Hay otros veteranos del ejército mexicano aquí, presentes. All right, I'd like to add uno. Señor, quédese parado, por favor. Ahí está otro. Aquí está otro. Aquí está otro. Ahora quiero pedir que todos los veteranos de las guerras de los Estados Unidos se paren. Estos son sus héroes. These are our heroes. Don't look at me, look at them. They're right beside you, and they're all around you. Every day, all the time. When I came back from the war, my brother and my brother got out of the service, out of the Marines, and I stayed in the service. They gave me 45 days of vacation, so we spent much of it at home, and then because my vacation was running out, we came down to Los Angeles and took a room in a downtown hotel, and every night we would go out to two nightclubs. One was El Club Brasil, where Miguelito Valdez would sing Babalu, and as soon as he sang the song, we would leave and run over to another nightclub called La Bamba. One occurrence that occurred in that Bamba remains ingrained in my mind. The place was packed with Mexican Latino soldiers, all in uniform, all just returned from the wars. They turned the lights down in the club, put one strong light on the bandstand, and a tall man with straight black hair, a mestizo face, a salsero shirt, and maracas that he was weaving very mysteriously came out. There was an overhead mic. He raised his head to it and began singing. Angelitos Negros. Palabras de mujer. Hoja seca. no lo dejábamos parar, porque su voz de coro nos aseguraba que sí estamos en la casa. Lalo Guerro. Vamos a ver el avión y luego hablamos más. Gracias.
And reading his book, let me tell you, it took me back when I was a kid. I was brought up in East Los Angeles, and so kind of aligned a lot with what happened. And you know, I'm glad you brought Gus, because I think like I know him after reading your book. I thought the world of his older brother. Let me tell you, there's quite a bit in this book. Okay, I think that will, the plane is about ready to fly. Wait, hold it just a second, please.
Yeah, I'd like to make an announcement. Due to the crosswinds, we will not be able to fly today. It's just too dangerous. The plane hasn't flown in a year. We were doing our experimental flight on it, getting it ready to go. So no sense in taking any chances. So, but we will run the engines up. We're going to, run her up. So you're all welcome to come outside, watch the plane run up. Also, right after the run up, for all you kids, we have a piñata to do right after. So don't go anywhere.